Welcome you all to the Reality or Not podcast, along with Let's Hey Sean. You got your boy Sid over here. How you doing, Sid?
How you been? Good.
All right, good. You got Brian over here. Brian Clancy, what's good with you, cuz?
Man, I'm blessed and impressed with the life God gave me. What's going on? Good people?
Everything's good. Chilling like a villain. Last name McMillan. How you feeling? Hey, what's up, Latoya? How you doing?
Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, cool.
I don't got no tagline yet. I got to work on some quick comeback.
Latoya Jackson, down for some action.
That's right. No, actually, it's Latoya Jackson, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. So we'll keep it at that. That's been my phrase tagline my entire life.
All right, cool. All right, what's something that y'all want to jump into? I know we got a few things going on. We got the government shutdown. We got the thing that you just mentioned with the refusing of the childbirth.
The young black woman that was in the Dallas hospital that was in active labor. So we can get into that because that kind of disturbed my spirit to see how the nurses did not have no type of compassion or love or anything, no sympathy for this black woman. And we see black women go through this all the time. So definitely want to talk on that. And then also, hey y'all president allegedly doing some freaky bad stuff. Now, I don't know. It's coming out. So hey, let's talk about it.
All right, let's talk about it. We got competing against yourself versus everybody. Then we got dealing with trauma and how you overcome it. I think that one's a huge one because you see people dealing with it all the time, but they don't really know that they're still dealing with it. So I think that's an important topic that we should definitely address as we're going through the conversations. What were you saying, Brian?
Nothing. Identifying trauma is half of the battle, right? Yeah, you gotta identify that because some of the stuff that they talk about to me, I don't feel like it's trauma. Like me hearing gunshots is not. I'm gonna just jump into it. This lady told me that it was gunshots and like I didn't respond, and I was like, "Oh, they're shooting," and I didn't respond, and she was like, "That." Well, first of all, she asked me why I didn't drink. And I was like, because I don't drink. Yeah, I don't drink because
no, hold up. She gonna ask you why you don't respond to some shit, but then she gonna try to go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. People, and she was doing her doctorate, so she was going through some stuff where she was trying to, how some people be imposing stuff on you.
No, don't size me up, yo. Like, just tell me what I need to know. What you asking me questions for at this point in time in life? Like, don't just like because I don't want to drink. Like, if the thing is, like, say for instance, if you holding a cup in your hand and it got some juice in it, ain't nobody gonna ask you shit. But if you ain't holding that,
it may be apple juice.
Yeah, and they just go ask you. But then if you say explicitly, like they offer you a drink, you be like, no, I don't want any. They're like, well, why not? It's like, bitch, because I don't want to drink. Like, leave me the fuck alone, or I don't want to smoke. Like, that stuff always bothers, especially when I go through my whole little sabbaticals where I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking now. People are like, well, why aren't you drinking? I was like, because I'm doing this diet. I was like, well, why are you doing it? I was like, nigga, like, you ain't doing it. Like, have your drink, have your carbs, have all of the shit that you want. Like, and
as you can tell, that has been exemplified because again, he is on his sabbatical. He's not drinking, but listen.
He over here with his. Look, I told him. I was like, yo, get your drink real quick. Everybody in here ready to go, and boom. Like, I ain't gonna be like, oh man, hey, nigga, why you drinking in front? I don't.
I'm not
care.
trying to impose it on him. If he's not, hey, I'm gonna do me. So
and that's kind of my creed. I don't. Whatever you do is up to you. But like, if she want to know why I don't drink, I was like, man, I've seen a lot of people lose a lot of stuff based on drinking. And Shantae, you remember Dad tore up that Buick Park Avenue?
Yep.
Like I remember.
I know that was because of drinking, though.
Huh?
I know that was because of drinking.
Well, he was drunk driving.
Oh, well, that'd do it.
Oh,
yeah, he was drunk driving. So yeah, so like the pain from that, and he still had to pay it off because he didn't have it. I don't know if they didn't have the right insurance or whatever, but like the pain from that, I was like, dang, that's wild. So I got a lot of stories where I see people have lost a lot based on them drinking. And it's not something I need to have. So like I'm like, hey, it's no sweat on my back. But she was telling me that that's a response to trauma. I was like, hey, call it what you want to call it. I don't see it as trauma.
Yeah. So the response for me, my bad. The response for me would be, for one, why are you asking me about drinking? But that's a whole nother topic. But the response, the trauma part, where was I going with that? I'm more concerned about how close the bullets are versus like if I hear popping and I'm like, oh, that's probably like 6 or 8 blocks. Like it ain't that close, but shit. I mean, one time I was moving to an apartment and I had some people that I had rented out some movers, and I missed this whole conversation, but the movers, I hurry up, go upstairs, like blah blah blah. I was like, yo, what? And I'm literally moving my stuff back into Chicago, and so we go upstairs and we hear, but like when I talked to the mover, I was like, yo, everything cool? He's like, no, I heard a dude walk right past us, like on the side of the house as we're moving stuff into my apartment, walk right past us and say, man, they out here. So I'm like, so we just upstairs ducking, but Nick got shot. But the thing that pissed me off the most, and this might be trauma, but not because this kind of in the same vein, but I called the landlord and I was like, yo, like, why, like, this ain't the neighborhood. I'm like, this 2015, this ain't the neighborhood I'm trying to move back into. Like, why? She's like, oh, he didn't die though. I'm like, nigga, like, I ain't trying to move into no neighborhood where niggas could get shot as I'm moving stuff. So like, I could have been a part of that.
When we say trauma, like, y'all help me with trauma because, and again, I'm trying to understand that Brian, Toya, Sean, like, so
well,
what I mean by that,
being that I work in the mental health field.
Hold on, let me say this. Let me say this. So what I'm saying, because like me personally, I have a drink. I'm a social drinker, and like, why I'm drinking now because my morning was kind of effed up. So like I just went through what they call it, I had a laser procedure on my face. So right now, like my face is swollen.
Literally an hour ago.
Maybe even 30 minutes ago, I had a laser procedure. So therefore, like I drink, or if I'm annoyed or agitated with work, my day, like I don't just drink, but it's like something happened that frustrates me. Then I'll go have a drink, like, you know what? Because I think it just calms my nerves. Or like my face is in pain right now. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Listen, anybody, laser procedures hurt. Just let y'all know that any kind of a laser procedure, that stuff hurt. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't care what y'all say, it hurts. Mm-hmm. But that's why I'm drinking. So would you call that trauma?
No, it ain't trauma. No, that's not trauma.
In response to Brian's comment about the lady asking him or referring to that as a form of trauma, in a sense, it is. I don't know if any of you all are familiar with the ACEs, which is adverse traumas.
You got to explain.
It's adverse childhood symptoms. But basically,
that ain't what
it don't. I got to think of the real name of it. But the ACEs, you can take an ACEs. You can Google it and take an ACEs, and it's a series of questions of things that may have happened in your childhood that ultimately affects how you react to things. So, say for instance, that incident with the drinking or the car accident, it may not have been a direct situation that happened to you, but you were affected by it, which then affected the way you act in response to alcohol. So when you take an ACEs test and you go back to childhood things and you say to yourself, why is that normal for that child? We might go into an environment where, okay, gunshots is disturbing, but if somebody lived in an inner city where that is super common, they have learned to tune that out, block that out. That has now become part of their normal everyday life. So their reaction to that situation may be very different to somebody who never hears that, never sees that. The same goes with alcohol and drug abuse. For some people, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, those things can happen when you're a child and you don't think that, man, that may not have appeared to have affected me, but it ultimately shaped the person that you become. Here's another example. So say, for instance, you have children that are not raised in the home with their fathers. And so then they have children. Certain behaviors may not be normal to them because they were never exposed to it. That is their form of trauma. So, it ultimately shapes how you live your life.
I'm getting lost. So And I say I'm getting lost in. I'm used I think there's a difference, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm looking at it as trauma versus how you were shaped in life. Because you just mentioned that.
No, I was
like,
responding to. He said the lady said that is a form of trauma for him, and it is. Inadvertently, something happened that didn't directly happen to you, but it ultimately shaped how you react to those situations. You chose not to drink alcohol. That you wasn't in the car. You seen the after effects. You seen what drinking could cause, which ultimately shaped how you respond and how you act and how you choose to live your life.
Yes, but to me, that's just a lesson learned. Like I'm learning from somebody else.
That is what we would define it as, but clinically, it is a form of trauma.
So trauma is anything.
Yeah, it's something he goes through. I'm looking at it as like if Brian, like say for instance, my uncle, right? My uncle definitely was impacted by the trauma. I mean, maybe I don't know. He probably kept drinking, blah blah blah. But when I'm thinking of trauma, I mean, like I said, we all can have different definitions of what it is. But I'm looking at trauma as
something that hurt.
I would say, like, say for instance, I got whoopings when I was a kid.
Yeah.
My trauma would be to never. You may have to. I would be more careful about getting caught, or because I'm traumatized about what's going to happen if I keep doing whatever, or if I get caught doing it.
Yeah, trauma seemed to be like a negative. Like I thought trauma had to hurt you.
No.
So to your
trauma, that's just like saying that certain things have to be dramatic or whatever to be, stated that you have PTSD. It doesn't have to be a dramatic event. It doesn't have to be a horrific event for you to suffer that. A child may be in the car with somebody that has a car accident, and the noises and the sounds from that can ultimately affect them for the rest of their life. That boom, that sound, that dropping of something may startle you, may make you feel, like you're in flight or fight mode. Mm-hmm. That's a form of trauma.
That makes sense.
Okay, I get what you're saying, because I'm trying to, in my mind, I'm like, so me personally being molested by uncles at the age from 5 to 9 years old, it's like you say, okay, that could be a sort of trauma. Hence why it took years for me to even be sitting with him, like
conversation.
It took me years to even be around men. And most like you're like this because of this. No, I didn't want to be around men because I was uncomfortable, because I didn't want anybody to touch me. However, being a father now, and I have a daughter and a son, I don't want to shield them from everyone because of what I've been through. If that making sense, because I've tried to protect them, but it's like I know I can't protect them from everything, because my daughter's 20 now; she's an adult. My son is 17, so they're gonna live their life. But me, what I've gone through, I had to learn how to kind of fall back and not try to be so super protective because of what I've gone through. Because I worked through I worked through the process. I'm like I say, I'm healed, but again, it did affect me as it pertains to my kids, because I did not want my kids spending the night at aunt's house and family members. I did not want my kids I just didn't want my kids around. I didn't want to be exposed or deal with or go through what I went through. If that makes sense.
I fully understand that, Sid. But the first thing I want to say is that's fucked up. You had to go through that. But the second thing I want to say is that these traumas, and it's hard for me to call it a trauma because I feel like it didn't hurt me at all. It was just me learning from other people's. But no, it did hurt me because financially he was tied to that. And then when I seen people I seen abuse. I seen people get in fights because they was drunk, and they wouldn't have gotten in a fight if they wasn't drunk. But it is very difficult for me to and gunshots. As long as they away from me, it don't matter to me.
If I hear that shit out there, I'm like, bitch, get down. Like what we doing? No, but if, like I told you, I can hear it from afar. I'm like, oh, they're just over there wilding out,
Yeah. It doesn't affect me, and I'm at that community where it's like, hey, do what you do as long as you don't mess with me, right?
Now, but I have learned, Brian, that, and I'm learning this now because again, I didn't start drinking till I was like 35. Like I started drinking late.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you missed
but
all the college.
yeah.
So why you start?
Yeah, like I said, I didn't drink. I'm telling. Listen, my grandmother, we was holiness Church of God in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was Pentecostal. She was strict. That's the devil's work. All this was devil's work. But I learned that alcohol does have it can have a negative effect. Because me personally, when I'm drinking too much, I feel like I'm the Incredible Hulk. And y'all see me. I probably weigh a buck 35,
buck 40 wet.
You can't whoop me when I'm drinking. I don't care how big you are. You can't whoop me. I'm just saying that's what alcohol does mentally. I can whoop everybody. Man, who you talking
see, that's crazy because I categorize drunks in at least 4 different categories, right? My dad, he was a silly drunk. Like, but I ain't gonna say it. Sean, you ever heard him say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what that was about, but he was a silly drunk. And like, now my mama is more like you then. She's a violent drunk. She's one of them people that she's one of them people that
when they're ready to fight, they're ready to go.
Everything that happened in their head, everything that happened to them, now they ready to pounce on anything and everything, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you got the I'm so well the drunk that just want to go to sleep, the sleepy drunk, where you can't really even have a conversation with these people. These are the things that I see. I categorize the 3. Those are the 3 that I normally.
You got the emotional drunk too. I have friends that get drunk and they just start crying about stuff. I'm like, what are you crying?
Yeah, that's.
You got the emotional drunk too.
Yeah.
And all those things you described, Brian, are forms of adverse effects. You have experienced traumas. You just you don't associate with that because you haven't been clinically seeing anybody or a therapist, but they would tell you those things that you saw affected you. And it ultimately shaped you to be the person that you are. You may not want to define it as a trauma, but to watch somebody get drunk enough to want to be violent, that's a form of trauma. To watch somebody want to get drunk enough to want to be belligerent. I mean, you're watching this play out. And as a child, you're taking it in. You may not know what to call it, but it is ultimately shaping you to be that. You got 2 ways. You have choices. You could either be like, I am staying so far away from that because I don't never want to be like that. Or you become everything that you've lived.
I grew up in Muskegon, Michigan, right?
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me just because it's this me and you too, Sean. We grew up in Muskegon, Michigan. Now on the corner of Monroe and 7th, a park or whatever, there used to be all the older men from high school or whatever used to sit there and drink, and like I was like, that can't be life. And all they did was talk about what they did in high school, right? Remember that, Sean? Them people be over there. And I was like, there is no way in hell that I'm gonna grow up and this be my highlight of life, right? So are you saying that that's trauma? Because
I mean, you could take it as influence, but I'm talking about the things you witnessed in your home. That was around you. You saw these things take place. I'm not talking about what you walked around and you saw on the street. That might have influenced you to say, I don't want to be like that. But if I witness my mother get drunk to the point where she's violent, that is adversely affecting me because that is altering her behavior towards me and the people around me. That is directly affecting me and how I'm being raised. As a child, you don't always know how to take that in, but you're witnessing it. It's happening right in front of you.
So
like I said, you have choices when you grow up. You decide either I become what I saw, and a lot of people do. That's how generational stuff happens. They literally act out the things that they're used to and that they see every day, or they decide I am never going to be like that. And that example I was using about living without a parent. You have some people, some men in general, when they finally have a child, they'll say, I'm going to be the best parent I could be because I know what it's like to not have a dad, to not have a father around. That's going to be my choice. But then you also have some men who ultimately become what their father was to them. Not present, not around, not involved in the child's life.
So T, help me this. So what you just said, and because I'm picking up what you. So are you saying? Well, let me go back. I'm the same way. I never had my father in my life, but having kids, I'm the best father. Trust me. I don't want my kids to experience what I experienced. So that's that. However, going back to what you said about like acting out and what have you. So now at this age in my life and I'm drinking and what have you, and I told you sometimes when I drink and I probably get over intoxicated or whatever, I feel I'm incredible hope. What is it that you think I act out the way? Because sometimes my friends were like, you was this, you said that, and I'm like, for real?
You may be at a point in your life, Sid, where you're actually comfortable with being yourself. You stated out of your own words that some traumatic things happened to you as a child, and that ultimately kept you from being social, from being wanting to be around people, wanting to engage with men or be in a space with men. That situation affected you.
Yeah.
When you finally start addressing or acknowledging to yourself, like, that bothered me. That played a major role with, and I'm not saying this is true, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but this may have been the reason it directed you to want to feel straight and live a straight and narrow life and have a wife and have children, because you're running from, okay, that happened to me. Am I that way because that happened to me? Or am I that way because ultimately this is what I'm attracted to? There's a fine line with defining that when there's trauma exposed and there's trauma that has happened. Okay, maybe you're thinking to yourself when you were younger, if that hadn't happened to me, I wouldn't have these feelings towards men or wanting to be around men or attracted to men. May or may not have. But because you weren't a willing participant in what happened, it kept you from living your truth.
Well, you know what?
Listen, it affected you.
We can go this. You just said a lot of stuff, and we can go down this rabbit hole.
Hold on a second.
But
go ahead. No, I want to go here because you mentioned it a second ago, and we're talking about trauma. And if we're going to stick within this, how we're defining it, is church, the Bible, whatever religion you practice, could that be considered a form of causing trauma?
It depends on how it was imposed in your household. You have some faiths that rely on their religion to basically dictate how life is ran. Now, all religions aren't the same, so it would be, to me, depending on that type of religion. If you were a Mormon, you may live a certain kind of way. If you were Amish, you may live a certain kind of way. Where
fuck all the other religions. We talking about how we were impacted by religion. Because he had mentioned that his grandma was Pentecostal, and I know that you have issues with your grandma. So I'm just curious on I'm Baptist. I'm just curious on how everybody was impacted by church and the traumas because I feel like it has its way of being a trauma. Like I said, I'm just going off of how we're defining it now. But like, do you feel like from your experience within the church? Anybody can jump in whenever they want, but with your experience within the church, that it could be considered a form of trauma.
Again, I think it would be based on the denomination, because some religions are just way more intense about certain things.
I don't care about.
Well, you mentioned that he was Pentecostal, and Pentecostal don't necessarily believe the same way as Baptist or Catholic or Muslim faith. So if your faith is one that dictates and runs the household, it may be more traumatic for you versus another religion that's a little more lenient or a little bit more accepting of certain things.
Hold on a second. Go ahead. Fuck all that. I'm asking you, Toya. I'm asking Brian, and I'm asking Sid.
But that's what I'm about to get to.
As far as y'all, do y'all feel like y'all were impacted from y'all religious perspectives with trauma?
And so what I would say is that Pentecostal stuff. I only said that to show that my grandmother, she was more so strict. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't wear this, you can't do it. That's all I'm
So
saying.
was she one of them people that wore dresses? What we call them?
Yeah.
Jehovah.
The sanctified. Because
Jehovah.
Christ Temple was sanctified where women couldn't wear pants.
Apostolistic.
Right. That was a lot. Pentecostal Church of God. All of those. I could name a lot of them that was very strict. But my point of saying that was about how she was. However, I had to also find out, that as I got older, that was religion. Yeah. That's what they knew. That's what they were taught. That does not mean that was scripture. That was not Jesus. That was not grace. Yeah. And so I don't even want to get on this tangent about religion because I can go on and on about it because a lot of stuff that the Black church has been taught has been in error. Let me just say that
the basic part of that is this learned behavior. It's
right.
They didn't. So I just got into this big debate about taking communion, and it was like, yeah, you take communion. I was like, Jesus was there at the Last Supper to do that. He said, "I bless you with my flesh and my blood." How did that get applied to the whole church? Y'all didn't took that and made it a tradition, and it don't make sense to me.
It doesn't. It don't have to be every first Sunday. All of that is religion. I'm agreeing with you.
Tradition.
It's religion. You don't have to take communion every first Sunday. If you took it once a year, okay, fine. That's not going to send you the head.
If you don't take it at all, I mean, I think it comes down to faith, right? And that's why I tell people all with religion and stuff like that. Like I had to separate, at least myself, the church and faith. And granted, I do go to church and I do, but I have my faith as well. So it's not as if I'm going to agree with everything, but I feel like in life, just living a good life and being able to make sure that you're taken care of, family is taken care of, just being a good, kind, decent person.
First of all, why? And see, again, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I'll say this. Why do we continue to contradict the Bible if we say that's what we believe? And what I mean by that is, let me just say, what I mean by that is, once we said that God sent his son Jesus to die for our sins, he died past, present, future, okay? He ain't coming back to die for what you're doing now. He's not. He's already done that. So that's that grace. Why are we still telling people this wrong, that wrong, what have you? Now, let me say this for folk. Wrongdoing, whatever that is, it has consequences. Okay.
Okay.
You sleep around with multiple folks.
Yeah.
You make it HIV, STD. You go rob a bank. You could go to jail. You get shot. There's consequences to everything. So you can't say, "Oh, it was God." Why did God allow it to happen? Well, the consequences of your actions, yada 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 yada. However, we're not going to continue to keep contradicting the Bible because Jesus. Go ahead.
What I want to say is that the Bible is contradictory itself.
Yes,
if you look in the Bible, there is not a lot of good things said about women in the Bible. I think it's like 3 or 4 women that they've said good things about. So when people and people can read the same passage and say and have 2 different understandings of it. So it's the religion is people applying what they feel like it is. I say religion, faith, and church, right? I'm a religious person that I am learning my own understanding of the Bible and what it means. And I'm not a churchy person, but what we're doing right here is having church whenever more than 1 or 2 people congregate in the name of the Lord. That's church.
Yeah. Right.
And then I am not like, so I didn't lost my point, but I feel like it's a difference between religion, church, and faith. And like and nobody can tell you what you do better than what you got going on.
I would also add to be honest, that my grandfather was a pastor. I also went to private school, church related private school for quite some time. I say that to say this: when I did graduate, I rebelled slightly, but it forced me to research a lot of other different religions. And we have to remember that right now, the Bible that they preach and teach from out of most churches in the New James Version, that's a white man's Bible. We have to remember there's books of the Bible that have been omitted. You're also reading a Bible that was transcribed in a language that is not spoken
American
anymore.
translation.
So you have no idea if the interpretation of is accurate and in fair count. They also omitted several books of the Bible as it relates to women. So you have to take I always tell people your walk with the Lord is yours and yours alone. So you make that journey, whatever that is, you believe in whatever you want to believe in. But I would encourage people to explore or at least be open to knowing more about other religions and their version of the interpretation. The Quran is very similar to the Bible.
It is
very similar.
I want you to answer Shantae's question though, because he asked you that question directly, and you didn't answer that question. Shantae, would you answer?
I did. I said that to me personally, it would be based off the denomination that you are raised under.
Oh, your
I know that there was a family across the street from us that was Jehovah our whole life. My grandfather was a Baptist pastor. Our points of views on how we would raise children or how her and my mom, they would speak, but they weren't social. They were very much more strict than the way we were raised, but that was their household. I also have some family members who chose to go over to the Yahweh form of religion. My grandmother had a big problem with that. She felt like that was more cult-like. My uncle and them ultimately moved to Arizona, where they had a much more bigger following of the Yahweh faith. Mm-hmm. And for them, that was a conflict. That was a thing that kind of kept them separate for quite some time. And even when he did come home, they never talked about religion because my grandfather was a Baptist pastor. So I feel like depending on the religion that your household practiced would dictate how that would be imposed into your life through the strictness. So like we knew people that were Jehovah, right? I have a family member whose cousin was that way. They were never allowed to wear pants. They always had to wear the long dresses. They had to go out and minister and do all these things. And she hated it. And then ultimately, when she got to be a teen, she started to rebel against their religion. And she wanted to wear pants to school. And she wanted to do these things because she felt it was being imposed on her in a way that was contradictory to the way she wanted to live her life. So in that sense, it could have been a form of trauma to her. Being forced to do something where I'm going to school with people that don't do this and don't have to live this way and don't have to do this in their everyday life. That's traumatic to me. I don't want to have to go home and all we do is pray and there's no TV and there's no this and there's no, then I go to school or I visit a friend and their household is ran much differently and they mom and daddy say they go to church too. So for a child, that could be traumatic.
So, but we asking you. So
was your grandfather?
It wasn't traumatic for me. It just made me want to, when I finally got out on my own, to research other religions. I wanted to know that if what I was being told, because I was the rebellious child anyway, if what it's true. The only thing that I could come up with, and this is the way I live my life right today, I love the history part of the Bible. You can't tell me Egypt don't exist when I could go to Egypt. You can't tell me that the pyramids don't exist when I can go and touch the pyramids. There are places and spaces in the Bible that are accurate and true. And whether the events that took place there are accurate and true, that's up to interpretation.
And with that, at the end of the day, and to keep it simple so we can move off religion and move to another topic, at the end of the day, Jesus was the grace for us. God sent his son Jesus. All this we talk about, can't do this, can't do that, can't be this, can't be that. Jesus died for all that. Let's just keep it plain and keep it simple. Excuse me, that's not a word. Regardless of how folk, that's not a word. Regardless of how folk want to think about it, and all of
I like irregardless. Though. I'm sorry.
It's not irregardless is not a word. It's regardless. Regardless of how everybody wants to say about the religion, at the end of the day, if we want to believe in it, Jesus died for all of that. So how you live your life, he does not see any of us as sin at all. And sin is not what we think. Y'all think sin is bad actions. That is not sin. But again, that's another conversation to have, because we could talk about religion. That's why I kind of want to move on, because I get very passionate, very excited about religion, because sin is not.
Fuck that nigga. We about to talk about this shit now.
No. So I'm just saying, Jesus died. He died for your sins, past, present, future. So what you do, but I want to say this, that caveat, it's not that you can just go out willing to do what you want to do. I told you there's consequences for everything that we do. Period.
Okay. Now, based on those consequences,
and do stuff, you get in debt. That's on you. You did it. Like,
sit. Based on those consequences, I'm gonna go ahead and parlay this into the next thing. Based on the consequences, what was the consequences of the government shutdown?
What do you mean? Sorry, say it again. What do you mean?
What was the consequences of the government shutdown? Like coincidentally, the government was shut down. Did you have any consequences of that being shut down, or did it affect your life in any way?
It first and foremost, I would say it affected anyone of color. I mean, those of us that, you got to remember, I have friends, sisters, those that were laid off in the federal government, etc. I have a lot of folk that family members that's on SNAP benefits. Again, that it affected us significantly. It did. At the same time,
hold on a second. Let me jump in.
Go
ahead. So I'm looking at it a different way. Yes, to answer your question, there were consequences. I mean, we were impacted, but the problem that I've had with it is, like the whole government thing, is that we tend to try to not listen to what dude is saying, and and this is like, so like, say they're looking for jobs and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, this dude has been saying he's going to do this for a while. Why aren't y'all not looking for jobs?
Who is we though?
As the black people,
no.
Look, I'm speaking from the black culture. Like this nigga has been saying, like, you can say everybody. He's been telling you what he's going to do.
Correct.
And he's going to do it, like, flat out.
However, but to your point though, mm-hmm. And for
why are y'all sitting around waiting for this nigga to do shit for you if he said he's not?
But to your point, and the majority of black people, it's not us, it's the others. Let's be clear. It's some of us. It's not the majority of us.
I talked to someone and they were like, I was like, well, are you looking for jobs right now? I was like, no, I'm just waiting for it to start back up. I'm like, so y'all, you didn't, not to say you didn't learn your lesson, but I'm like, why are you waiting for somebody to give you a job back? Like, you should be
get paid regardless.
Huh?
She get paid regardless.
Huh? Oh, no. But the thing is, like, why are you, like, for me, right? If I lose my job or furlough from a job, I'm like, okay, this is an opportunity for. It's almost like a chick, like you fucking with a chick, and the chick be like, hey, I need some time to myself. Da 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 da. Like, I ain't about to wait for your, like, it's a wrap. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. You know what I'm saying? Now, if she comes back and it's cool, then okay, like, we can work that out. But I ain't about to sit up here and wait for your ass.
But if we are clear, the majority, we're not saying all, so I gotta make sure I'm clear.
Yeah, you can always say some.
The majority of black people, we understood the assignment. Everybody else did not support. No, that's not.
I think they did. I agree with Sid, and I also would say that you have to put the circumstances and those situations into perspective. I work with people that have mental illness. I also used to work with developmentally disabled, and I also used to work with the homeless. Everybody does not have the fortitude or the ability to just go out and get a job. Right now, AI is at risk of eliminating a lot of jobs for people as well. Manufacturing is in limbo as we speak, because they are now creating more and more robots to do jobs that people that had lesser education or less capability or qualifications to find a job that would require a more skill set. These jobs are becoming obsolete. I'm responding to you saying, you said, why aren't they looking for a job? That don't mean that they're not. But everybody's not going to hire somebody that just came out of jail. They're not going to hire somebody that doesn't have an address right now. They're not going to hire somebody that does not have work experience. Right now, when we were coming up, do y'all remember working at the McDonald's and the Taco Bells and the things like that? We considered them to be teenage jobs. You are now having teenagers compete with grown people for those same jobs.
So,
you go to a McDonald's right now, I guarantee you 3 or 4 of them is 40 and plus working.
Sorry, I'll say this. I think you're mixing up.
I'm responding directly to what you said. You said your thought process was, why aren't they looking for work? Okay, some may not have looked, but then that doesn't mean that even if they're looking, there was a job there for them to go get. That was what I'm saying. There may not have been employment out there in their capability range for them to get. And even if it is, there was this one mother. Well, I just wanted to get this one point out because there was a mother that was on the news that was saying she had 6 children. They cut her off of benefits, whatnot. And she was saying that they were talking about, okay, you got to go to work and do these things to get your benefits. And to her point was, I have 6 kids. I'm a single mom and I do this on my own. How does a woman with 6 children work 40 plus hours to take care of them with no help?
She was stroking.
Oh, listen.
That's what she been.
I'm just saying everybody's circumstances is the same. So you have to put the effect of how the shutdown affected certain people into perspective. I can't just say your situation is no different than mine, but I know that there's some people's circumstances dictated that they need that help.
I can't hear y'all because y'all talking over each other.
What I'm trying to break down is everybody's situation isn't the same. That's why I'm not saying all. I said I spoke directly to someone that said that they're sitting around. When you broke down you said the 3 things. You said they might have got out of jail. You said they might not have the education. They might not have the experience. Those 3 things they had, but they're unwilling to pivot them because they're trusting in the government. And a lot of people are in this situation that work for the government. No one is trying to find no one that worked for the government. I'm not talking about the SNAP and all that stuff. I'm talking about the government jobs. If
the furlough workers,
you have experience that you can try to pivot and try to be able to get another job.
But you're speaking about one person.
No, I'm speaking about government. I'm talking about government people working for the government.
Are you talking about? Because I feel like you're talking about black people. You're trying to corner us to say black. Are you talking about black people?
I'm talking about all of us.
Well, no,
I'm talking about the people within the government. The people in the government.
That's what I was wondering too, Sid. Thank you for clearing that up. You spoke about one situation, but you kind of made it seem like you were talking about a population of people. And so I was trying to put in a point that there are other people with circumstances that aren't necessarily yours, that shutdown affected them in a way that, okay, they may need that help. Now for the furloughed worker, and I'm just going to be honest, because I done been furloughed and been laid off before too. You pay into a certain amount of a system where you are entitled to a certain amount of money where I shouldn't have to go look for no job right now. So I should be able to get unemployment. I should be able to get something to sustain me because my job pays into that system for me to have that backup income.
Brian,
I shouldn't have to go run right out and look for no job. No, I shouldn't, because there should be money there that I should be able to access to sustain me.
You are right.
Let me ask you a question.
My question to you is, who do we blame for the shutdown?
I blame the people that's in charge of the House, the Senate, and the executive branch.
And who is that?
Those are the Republicans.
Thank you.
Those are Republicans. And I blame the Democrats. I thought Democrats was doing a great job of sticking together and standing on something. Standing on the
that just shows you we got some foxes in the hen house.
Standing. Well, let's keep it real. Democrats are not a party. They like a coalition. Because they take the others, the independents, the people that like I would never call myself a Democrat no more. I'll never call myself a Republican either. I'm a complete independent because again, when you say it's a fox in the hen house, you speak in the same language that I completely understand. President Trump started this stuff with these tariffs, and he's fixing the problems that he broke. and like the affordability part of this affordability, and I'm gonna be 100 when I say this, because I want everybody who watch this podcast to know, if you don't think the people that you vote for have an effect on your regular everyday life, if this ain't a real civics lesson, I don't know what to tell you. These people have an effect on your life.
And when you don't go vote in your local governmental elections, like your Senate representative and your Congress representative and your local mayor and your local representatives, those people have the more major impact than the president alone, because they're saying we represent our community and what they want.
And this is the issue. November 18th, Georgia, get out and vote. Period.
But don't just get out and vote, because I'm so tired of that. Stop.
Do the research.
Yeah, know who you're voting for, because y'all keep voting for these people that's taking care of themselves. And I say local, like, I was born and raised in Muskegon, so I'm tapped in a little bit. And they put the vision.
Where are you now?
I'm in Davenport, Florida.
We talking about Georgia, because let me tell you something. We in Georgia, our government is black, our mayor is black. 65% of our police force
governor is white.
We gonna vote. We vote the right people in, and that's why they need to get out and vote. Because I don't care about the presidential. If our local, our city, our state is,
but Brian Kemp messed up Abraham. Like he did Stacey Abraham so dirty with the way that he set up those votes. So like,
you are absolutely right.
They still need to vote him out of there too.
Get out, and we have to vote. Black people, we can't sit back and not do nothing. The devil is a liar.
But what I challenge you to, Sid, is, since you have an understanding, real people need to go out here and get elected, and real people need to be able to communicate what's going on. Because what I feel like happens is that you send these representatives for you, and those people get, I can do this, and then they don't necessarily tell their constituents stuff, or they just go up there and look like they working, and they making more money on the side than they're making a change.
Okay, and with that thought process, and nothing against you, but with that thought process, or this is what they're making it look like, at the end of the day, you still have to get out and vote. We cannot make change. Black people, we cannot make change if we don't get out there. I don't care what it looks like. We still have to get out there and do something to remove those that deem not for us, not for our communities.
But so, Sid, what I'm saying on that other part of that is, you got to educate people on why you voting and how to vote too.
So
not just get yourself out. How do you do that? Not to just get yourself out, but put a little guide together. Like, this motherfucker never comes back. He never has any town halls. He hasn't did any legislation.
How do you do that, Brian? How do you do that?
I'm saying reach one, teach one. So I'm saying I don't know if you got a following on Facebook or whatever, but you make sure your circles are educated, and then these smaller circles be educated, so we can have a bigger policy. Because
I agree with that.
And then I'm gonna tell you, I don't have the answers, because like, I am on the outside looking in. I have ran for office one time. I am not a politician. I'll slap the shit out you. If you can't talk about my mama, you can't talk about my family. So it's best for me to be a lobbyist and try to get things that I think is good for you.
Tell Aunt Jack if she won't smoke, here I go. No.
Hey man, when somebody tell me, well, your mother's a 15-year-old with 2 kids, what is that? Dog, what you trying to say?
But that's what I'm saying to you. You're right. I agree with everything you're saying, that we have to form a coalition. We have to do this. Everything you said, I agree with. However, how do we reach those, again, that we deemed as, and since it's us talking, who we deem ghetto, that may not get out there and vote, they just hood or whatever.
Let's just keep it simple. Keep it simple, because this is what Trump do. He took your SNAP benefits away. Get that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to keep it simple, because he does this thing where he's like, tariffs don't hurt nobody but the people that's selling stuff. No, tariffs hurt everybody. So we got to keep it simple. Like, he comes and try to talk to you like you're a kindergartner. So you talk to him. This the dude that want to take your SNAP benefits away. This the dude that don't want your child to be educated. He rather take the money from education and put it in prisons. We gotta be that simple.
What do you think about that, Toya? as far as like the resolve, if possible. If is there a resolve? Because the thing is, and I'll let you go ahead, but I think sometimes you gotta. I mean, I'll talk to someone and I'm like, well, why aren't you voting? He was like, well, it doesn't impact me. I'm like, why don't you see that? But I can only explain that so much to if someone has made a decision on not voting, then that's just what I'm not like, I was like, hey, look, I pinged a bunch of people. I'm like, hey, y'all going to go vote today? We in Georgia, blah, blah, blah. Some was like, hey, I'm going after lunch. Some said, hey, I'm going in the afternoon. Some said, I'm not going. I'm like, okay, all right. But, like sometimes I went and voted, and I can only, like, I'm not a political, like a politician or anything like that. But sometimes the way that you can spread the message is just being the voice. And within that, like I didn't even realize voting was today. So I want to say probably, a couple people that I did reach out to, whether it was 2 people or 5 people, etc., or I just say out of 10, 2 or 3 of them went and voted.
Georgia, November 18th.
And that was all
time to vote.
Look, and that was all within Georgia.
That's Tuesday. Hold on, let me get my calendar right. Yeah. It's time for us, but we already voted for our mayor. We got Mayor Dickens back in Tuesday. Time to vote. November 18th.
Let Toya jump in on this. Go ahead, Toya.
Mm-hmm. Me personally, I feel like I don't know if y'all are familiar with that saying, but ignorance is bliss. So it has been systematically done to take certain amount of accountability out of politicians' repertoire. A lot of people nowadays don't have cable, don't have access to news or local stations, or literally tell you they never watch, never. So they are so ignorant to what's going on. Somebody told me some statistics a long time ago, and this is, if you were running for office, as you did once before, Brian, that you may lose the first 2 times, but on the 3rd time you'd win. Just because people would recognize your name. Not because they knew what your policies was, what you stood for, but after the 1st or 2nd time you run, they'll go, who is this guy, Brian Clancy? Or I've seen this name on the docket before. And sometimes people literally ignorantly go in and vote just based off recognition of name. I think that politicians need to be more accountable to their constituents. I think they need to go back to work in neighborhoods, knocking on doors, going to local community events, showing up and showing their face, and allowing people to get more familiar. We have gotten so far away from that form of selling ourselves that they literally win. Quite a few of them have been placed in office just off of sheer get in here. I don't really know who to vote for. This name looks good. You don't know nothing about their policies, what they stand for, what they're representing, because people choose not to do the research. They don't do the homework.
So what are you doing to help? What are you doing to help them to get to that point where
there's not a whole lot you can do when most people get their news or their information through their algorithms through social media. So unless you have a very large following that you could use your platform to pull this constituent in and say, I want to get you on I want to grill you. I want to make sure that I am allowing my 5,000 or my 6,000 viewers to see and hear what you have to say. That right there could probably speak volumes, because the churches can't do it no more. Churches are getting smaller. Congregations are just getting older. And these young people are like, I don't want to hear that from my pastor. And that used to be where in the Black community where we would network, where we would keep up on politics and what was going on and what was best for our communities. We don't utilize that. We have gotten to a place of complacency. Black people have really gotten entitled where we feel like we don't need to know these things. And so they don't vote because they don't want to know. They don't feel like it affects them.
But that's why I'm happy. That's why I'm happy that this dude is doing what he's doing right now. People be like, "Yo, you happy Trump doing this?" I wish because to promote change, you have to change people's mind. And right now, like Toya, I'm gonna push back on that a little bit, because why, as an elected official, do I go looking for people when I'm gonna get